Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our cybersecurity awareness session. This is our second annual, and so we welcome all our keynote speakers. I will give you a moment to get to know them. I will have them introduce themselves at this moment. So go ahead, guys. Dr. Wisney.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Wissini Sans, and I'm glad to be with you tonight. And I'm delighted. I can't even describe it how happy I'm happy how happy I am to be here with you to share this platform. And in the next few minutes, I can't wait to learn from you guys whatever you're about to teach me tonight and what we're about to talk to our audience tonight. Thank you
Okay.
once again.
Thank, thank you, Dr. Wisney. Mr. Tyrone.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tyrone Jackson. I've been in IT for many years from high school time. Working in the cybersecurity arena. Used to working more so of dealing with human trafficking and uh, guarding the southern border here in the United States. But we're moving to a cybersecurity posture now with everything changing with today's technology, dealing with AI and such. And so that's our greatest concern for the most part, greatest threat, and glad to be here, part of the group.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Warren.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Warren White. I work in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. I'm a computer technician for there. I basically am now a network technician that deals with the switches at schools, and I deal with a lot of issues that um, our kids and teenagers deal with in schools, with whether it's password protection, security, that kind of thing. I do have a 14-year-old now who's going into high school, but I've grew up in the digital age with him, so I know all of the threats that most of our youth are facing in today's day and age. So I just hope to learn something else from you all as well.
Thank you. So, Dr. Dwight Elliott.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here with all these esteemed individuals who are just trying to share, care, and compare our knowledge in regards to cybersecurity and the best practices for keeping ourselves and those who we care about safe in this space. I've been a professor of cybersecurity, technology, and law for over 20 years now. I want to go into my corporate background, and most importantly, I'm all about preparing and training our students to be successful. So I'm based in Florida, and I do a lot of consulting in cybersecurity and laws related to cybersecurity to protect us and keep us safe and remain in compliance as we do our business and engage in social activities.
Thank you. We have Dr. Karthik Jupali.
Good, good evening, everyone. I'm Karthik Jupali. I have a PhD in IT management and mainly focused on security side. And I'm glad to hear and thank you for inviting me. Looking forward to learn more from you rather than sharing my experience or my knowledge. Glad to be
Thank,
here. Thank you.
thank you. We have Dr. Irvin Hurd.
Hello, ma'am. Well, okay. Yeah. Good to be here. So my background is from the federal government. Um, yeah. So previously, um, I was a federal police officer and a computer scientist out at NIST, and I am currently a professor in cybersecurity and AI as well. So yeah. So by trade, I'm a programmer. So good to be here.
Thank you.
All right.
So then we have Miss AS.
Oh, hi. My name is Andrea. I'm actually under Professor Elliott. I'm a student of his. I'm also the president of the Ethical Hackers Club under Palm Beach State College.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And then we have Kwesi Batiste. Kwesi. Okay, we'll come back to him. We have Dr. Jason Thompson.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Jason Thompson. I'm a co-moderator with Dr. Piper today. I'm excited about this session tonight. I actually have an IT background from a long time ago as a network administrator. I'm really excited to learn about this. I'm affected by security stuff going on. I've been hacked. I've recently had an incident with my own banking situation. So I'm really enthused to hear what can be done for protection and what our speakers have to say tonight. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Dr. Patrick Jules.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Patrick Jules, and I am educator, adjunct professor of leadership management, uh, former school teacher, and currently adjunct professor at SIU in Miami. I am also a senior pastor for a local church in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Father of 5 kids, one college, 2 high school, one middle school, and one elementary school. So this is one of the topics I'm really studying because I want to protect my children as well as educate my congregation about the aspects of cybersecurity online.
Thank you. Did we get everyone tonight? Kwesi? Okay, so I guess he's having problems with his technology. So tonight we are actually going to talk about the importance of cybersecurity and just becoming aware of all the different elements that affect us mentally, physically, and financially. Okay, so we'll do understanding today's cybersecurity threats. We'll talk about password security and protection, how we teach our kids to protect themselves, and how we implement that protection in our homes. We're going to also talk about remote and online. The kids are always on games. And recently, there has been an uptake, within, I would say within the 5 years, an uptake in how the gaming industry has changed the environment and changed the experience for these young students and these young individuals in our homes. We also see cyber scams, romance scams with the seniors. They're lonely, they want to be in love, and somebody's online trying to find them. And then we're going to talk a lot about practicing security and safety. We're going to also talk about digital safety and our banks. Everything now has gone into in hybrid banking, and everyone is using it. Okay, the kids no longer want a, a toy; they want a Cash App card or access to Zelle. They want to do banking online at the age of 10. And so everybody that is using the games in that age group, middle school, elementary school, high school, those students are at great risk, right? So we want to offer some advice. We want to offer some strategies, some methods that parents can utilize to ensure the safety of their families. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is understanding cybersecurity threats. Dr. Hurd,
Yes, ma'am.
tell us a little bit about the cybersecurity threats that you're observing now in today's industry.
Uh, so you mean cybersecurity tracks as in education wise, or just the
It
um?
is it is such a broad topic. I think
uh
it's everywhere, so you can start wherever you are.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay. Um, this is what I'm saying. All right, so from the news, we all keep hearing about these um AI models. You know, they keep breaking into these different websites, but different companies and things like that. There's like a big Um, I'm actually panic right now. All right, so for the cybersecurity students, this is going to be big. So for the student wise, we should definitely um, try to focus on ways to try to mitigate these AI models from penetrating these networks. Um, Case in point is this right here. All the AI models, they all have weaknesses. Um, Say, for example, they're like the loop, um, prompt injections, things like that. They all have weaknesses. So as a defense model, what we could do is turn the weaknesses into into system system hardening, just to make sure that our networks are going to be better protected. So that's what I'm focused on right now. To turn a turn a weakness into a defense mechanism.
Thank you. Do we have Dr. Karthik? Can you tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in the industry and what advice you can offer?
Sure, Dr. Piper. I mean, uh, it's not just one country or one region, entire world is facing the issues regarding these child safety measures or child abuse or going through by sharing the data through the online, because whenever they open any Instagram or Facebook, they're like the most of the time these kids spend most of the time in over the apps, and they unknowingly or knowingly share their data, personal data, maybe there's some sensitive data as well within those. So like the fast fraudsters or the hackers will attract them with kind of some perks or some kind of whatever the children's you easily attract to them, then they can log in or enter their personal data. So the parents need to restrict these things, or at least make the children aware, like educate them while they're sharing any personal data or sensitive data, or even in their date of births or their year or everything, like their address and everything. And parents has to make sure that what kind of apps the children are using within their phone, and their apps needs to be up to date to make sure all the other security is up to date on those apps, so that mostly they are less vulnerable to these threats or ongoing threats. So the parents need to be take care of these kind of measures while the children are using all their phones, and these things need to be addressed.
Okay.
And and yeah, in my own country, I'm seeing the recent issue, like my government is taking vast measures to protect the children rights and to safeguard and to keep them away from child abuse or sexual abuse or hackers, these things. The government is really bringing some hard measures to protect them, and imposing a lot of regulations into these online platforms. And on the same way, all the other governments need to take care of these things, so that these things can be safeguarded very well. And we are seeing a lot of regulations in the Europe as well, like they banned the social sites for the children under certain age criteria. It is like 14 age or 12 age. So those kind of regulations need to be implemented all over the world, so that children can be aware. Because I myself, I'm 35 or 36 of age, but I myself say I'm not that much aware of these things. So you can see the vulnerability of the kids at that 14 age. They don't even know anything, and they are unknowingly or knowingly fall into these kind of scams. So it
Mhm.
is definitely the government and the parents has to be take care and protect them from these situations. So they have
Mhm.
their they play a key role in these things, and making sure they have all the parental um, you know, um, uh, all the parental restrictions over the phone, like for example, so that they do not have to download any of the apps into their phones.
Mhm.
If they are using any device, their own devices, the parents has to make sure that they have all the rights, or like strict restrictions on, like children cannot download any app by their own. So they have to impose the restrictions, and they have to keep track of what are the activities they are doing on daily, like how many hours they're using the phone and what kind of apps they're going through, what kind of information
Mm-hmm.
they're giving to. So the parents has to see all these things and keep a track of it, because it's a digital world. They have to be keep updated day to day, and making sure to protect the childrens are not going to the side track or fall into the trap, and later they're going to face the issues. It will be like it's not just like money issue, or it's not just like abuse, but it definitely affect the mentality of the child as well, and their mental growth as well in the coming down the line years. So the parents need to be really careful and
Mm-hmm.
protective, and be aware of all these situations. And
Right.
even not just the child but the parents like for example, I myself, while I'm scrolling through something in the Facebook or the Instagram, so I see some kind of ad will pop up, that matches my interest, and I click on that ad, and it will ask my information, like for example my date of birth, my date of birth, and my personal information, and my
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it asks my location services. So I will enter those things, and you really don't know the how the third party vendor is going to deal with your
Use
data.
it.
Yeah,
Use your
so right.
information.
So yeah,
Yeah.
whether so they'll store all your data, but
Mm-hmm.
most of the time I don't have much use of that ad as well. I even I'm like, unless and until you realize that the vendor will have all the data of yours, and
Already.
yes, and you don't even know what will he do with that data. He can sell it to the third party vendors, or he can give it to the hands of hackers, or you don't know about it. So recently the California government is implementing a good law that whenever the California citizen or a California resident can ask for any third party vendor, like, hey, do you have any of my personal data, please delete that. That kind of regulations is is brought by the California government, and it was brought back in 2018 back, like it's called a GDPR regulations in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So they similar kind of implementations has done by California as well. So so since so government has to be brings that kind of regulations across the United States, so that customer will have the hold of its data. So they have the complete right of the data. Like if even a third party vendor or a third party businessman, they have any data,
Mm-hmm.
hey, they can directly contact that business, and hey, can you please delete my data completely. So
Right.
these kind of things will really help and restrict the data flow, and reduce these issues down the line, because you never know who or when your data is circulating across, and what kind of hands it will go through, and how that get the misused against you down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
it
let
is.
me tell you a little bit about what I have noticed. I have noticed that there are no governance for cybersecurity.
Mhm,
I noticed that when I was a student, they had governance in reference. It didn't start in 2002. They
mhm,
were now building the governance of who can use it, ho- you know, who has access to the information. So they implemented a lot of restrictions in reference to the health records. Now we have records that are bank records, but there are no governance. So I'm gonna ask right now, uh maybe Dr. Dwight Elliott to address something like that, because you're in the classroom, I'm in the classroom too, but you're in the classroom, and I want to know, what is your college doing, what is your program doing about that?
Um, well, I prefer to say, can I share my screen?
Yes.
I'd probably prefer to say, well, and Andrew probably knows this. Well, I prefer to, y'all can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the fundamental things I saw, and I got to the college in COVID season, and I saw that there was a disconnect amongst, students and amongst people when I started learning more about cybersecurity, about how vast these issues are. So one of the first things we want to do is create a community. I realized there's a need to create a community of sharing, caring, and comparing about all the issues related. So no one has the perfect answer to all of these issues. They're coming at us at the speed of light. There's technological issues, there's legal issues, there's career impact issues for students. So I quickly began to think back to when I went to college and compared to what the students are dealing with now, where when I went to Syracuse University, 19, 20 years old, we were in that space and place, and we were just on that college campus with other students that are like-minded from anywhere in the world. The internet we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have access to the world like that, and the world did not have access to us. So one of the first things I I began to realize, information warfare, right? They used to hear about it, but these students, they're coming to your classroom and they have some online professors outside of the college that they have already listened to or they're listening to on the internet all the time while they're talking before they talk to you. So you don't see this image of 50 to 100 students sitting on the floor reading a textbook before class like when we went to school, right? They're on their what? They're on their cell phones. So this imagery this is the world we're living in now. So that's literally, and whether intentionally or unintentionally, those things are affecting their learning and their development. And that's part of the information warfare. And so we got to look at, that's a threat to, so I think most of the people here know what social engineering is, right?
Right.
I mean, and for the larger audience, I'm going to give you a definition, but I just want to let you, this is some information that I did on a cybersecurity grant. When I do the training, I want everyone to know in cybersecurity operations, cyber ops, one of the first things we were dealing with is information operation, right? Where it's cognition shaping, much of which happens in cyberspace. So what does that mean? So to your point, these students are being shaped by the world out there before they come to our classroom. They're even with the AI right now. I mean, well, remember right before AI, remember there was Googling, right?
Yep.
So students were saying to you, listen, prof, why do I need to go to the library and get a dictionary and memorize 10,000 terms when I could just Google it, right? And then all of a sudden this AI thing is here now. Now we got that to deal with in the classroom. And so what we see is students, the way they're approaching learning has changed. They're
Definitely.
convincing them of traditional learning methodologies, memorization of terms, knowing at the top of the top of what I call the dome when we call it in hip hop. I should be able to come to you and you could take the words and you could spell the words and you could give me synonyms and antonyms for each word and you can, paraphrase and summarize. And they're not asking you. So now, and we have ebooks now that actually talk to the student, and the students still sometimes don't use it. So now in my classroom, what do I have to change my teaching methodology? That's one of the things we have to do. So we can't take for granted that they have read, right? So I literally sometimes have to get in there. And so part of my job as a success, if I want to be a successful professor, is to actually not just teach them content, is to teach them how to be a student.
Right.
In the traditional and in the modern form, and then meet them halfway and said, you know what, let's go ahead and look at that YouTube channel on that topic. Give me a video of that. And then sometimes I'll actually read the book out loud to them and ask them, did you do this? Because they'll get 100 on the labs and then their exam scores will be 30 and 50 out of 100.
Oh, wow.
What is that telling you? So they're like, hey, I love the hands-on, but the memory bank is not being developed. So you teach them to develop their memory bank and convince them that it's worth it because they're like, hey, prof, I could just ask Siri.
So
I have
Doc,
noticed, Doctor, that Claude, ChatGPT, Notebook LM, all your
Right,
assignments are coming in that
right.
form, and so it's like,
So
wow.
you have to convince them. Here's what I see the top-notch students. Let's say I have Andrea here. The students that are still going to, they're always going to say there's going to be winners and they're going to be losers. The winners are the students who are still studying in traditional form and are then incorporating the technology. My sister this morning, she's working online with me. She uses AI, but she can also memorize. She could write at a high level. She could paraphrase. She could summarize. She's memorizing terms.
Right.
Excuse me. So you got the best of both worlds.
Mm.
Students are the ones who are trying to think that AI or Googling and all of these things can get them to the finish line of true learning and development. And they're not going to be able to compete. Go ahead, Tyrone. I see you had a pressing question.
Yeah. So you so out the gate, what you mentioned about social engineering and everything, and how AI is starting to sway how things have been operated. You would say the number one thing is maintaining creativity and self learning. That's like the you basically me listening to you saying the highest priority right now is maintaining one's creativity. Use AI as a tool, not as a replacement.
Absolutely. And when we say maintain career, it's like you playing basketball, right? We all know that at some point, it's really cool to watch that dunk, right? But my son is 15. I tell him, I'm like, hey, bro, master the layup, master the fundamentals. Never, ever overlook that. I don't care how many other fancy things you see guys do in a game. The fundamentals you got to work on your ball handling. You got to work on the layup fundamental. So the kids with the part with the cybersecurity cyber ops. If you look at the definition of social engineering, the use of set up an attempt to manage social change and to regulate the future development and behavior of society. So if they're changing your behavior on how you even learn and you approach learning, that's a big problem because you're now convinced. And then here's what's going to happen. You know how they always get you. Such and such didn't study that hard and they making money. That's part that they making bigger money than the people that's working hard. And we all know that after 30 years old, I joke with students. I'm like, okay, I don't want to brag or boast, but contrary to the lies being told on the internet, I don't know about me, but all my friends are making way over six figures who I went to college with. They're living a fantastic life. Their kids are in college. They're
Of
got
course.
children. This story about educated people are all poor. That's part of the social engineering where they're telling kids that why invest in education? First of all, you're only discussing the money riches. You're not discussing all the other intangibles. Where my friend is coming to Florida the other day. Hey, Dwight, let's go check out. Let's meet your son, meet our daughters and sons, and we're going to these events and it's way beyond money that you gain from this college experience and this education experience when you're young. And that's what they're missing when they just so we got to change that narrative that riches are only articulated based on what money they're making. Right? Talk to me, Tyrone. I see you have a question.
So who if you had to list the top 5 entities of social engineering, who would you name as the number one culprit?
I mean, man, you could pick a lot, man.
I'm talking about like the worst of the worst as far as
social media applications, for example. Yeah, a lot of the social. Between you and I had to get my secretary, my assistant, because everybody knew it up a year ago. First of all, I turned off TV over 20 years ago. Okay, I don't even watch that stuff anymore. And then my assistant made me get an Instagram account, right? So now that I'm on Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, look at all of these street professors. Now this is where my students are hanging out. So now you have to know that I, as a professor, if I care about getting them over these cyber op challenges, but remember, I say to my students, Andrew is my witness. How many times do I say this? Are you thinking, or do you think that you're thinking?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because the time.
So we have go ahead, Ms. Andrea.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
go ahead, Andrea.
he teaches us every class, but I also see it in the workplace because I work at a. So obviously, I'm a student, so I see how students interact. I see how students. I'm also, since I'm the president, I also do like kind of, you could see like a mentorship. So like
Yes.
I try to help students,
Mm-hmm.
but I also see it at work. I see girls because I'm 33, so I'm already up there. But I see girls that are like 19, 20, 21 being medical assistants, and they're not even able, they have to ask ChatGPT how to write a thank you letter.
Yeah.
Mm,
They have to ask ChatGPT,
wow.
get well
Wow.
soon for their patient. Like, how do you not have the critical thinking to
Right. The critical.
just
Right.
wish somebody, bless somebody up, just
Yeah.
have
Mm-hmm.
the charm or like, I don't know, the personality at this
I
point.
think the
I don't
knowledge too,
understand.
knowledge
Right.
acquisition is really
Right.
important, you
And,
know.
and
Right.
also, yeah, and so
Mm,
in education, I
mhm.
see that a lot of people they don't study. They
Right.
just make a summary of things and then they say, okay, that's a review. Or
Right.
sometimes I'll
Okay.
ask professor, hey, are we gonna get a review for the final exam? Do you
Right.
Mm-hmm.
not know how to study?
So,
Yeah, because they
so,
want to copy and paste it in the chat GPT, get the answers,
right.
and then copy paste it into the portal or the platform.
Right.
But thank you guys. So we're gonna move on now, and we have parents. We have Dr. Whitney, we have Dr. Jules, and then we have Mr. Warren White, who will tell us what he's seeing in the school system and how we fix it. So go ahead, Dr. Whitney and Dr. Jules. You guys
I,
can.
I'll start. I'll start. First of all, once again, thank you guys. I think this topic is extremely relevant, especially for me with 5 kids, 12 and under. They're crazy about social media and about phones and all those things. I think that's a very great topic that you guys, I thank God for you guys for this forum. Not only as a father of 5 kids, I mean, and also as an educator, most of those patterns that you've um, described earlier, I've seen them, and I think it's a great thing that we are addressing them on this platform. But as a parent myself, once what I realized there was a time we all can attest to that when protecting our children meant knowing where they were going, who they were playing with, and what time they would be home, right? And if you see the paradigm, it has changed. So today our children can sit safely in the bedrooms, right? And yet they be exposed to a world that can come through a screen. Would you
Mhm.
guys agree?
Agree, agree.
So they don't even have to leave the house to encounter strangers. You see that
Mhm.
saying, stranger danger, don't talk to stranger. That almost, you know,
Mhm.
it doesn't apply anymore because they don't have to walk into dangerous neighborhood to see violence. Would you agree
Yep,
to
yep.
that? So they don't even have to go to looking for inappropriate materials like for porn or anything. Those things will find them.
Mm-hmm.
So the world can come directly into their hands. And I think that's where the greatest danger lies if we as parents don't know how to protect our children from those things. And
Mm-hmm.
I won't be too long, but as a parent, one of the things as I was researching about this topic, we may have all those gadgets like parental control, how to limit this, limit that. But one of the greatest suggestions or advice I'm taking out of this, or even sharing it with all of you guys who are watching, is to learn how to befriend your children, is to know how to do good parenting. Okay, is to develop a relationship with your children. Because if you don't know how to do that, they're gonna hide all those secrets from you.
Mm-hmm.
You may have all those secrets, all the things. You may, let's say, for instance, my kids, each of them has a tablet. I have probably have 5 or 6 computers at the house. And I have many phones. Okay. Sometimes I tell them not to touch those phones. But when they go to school, the classmates have phones. The classmates have tablets. Even my 7 year old, like, okay, daddy, I watched this, I watched that. I was like, where did you watch this? Okay, my friend,
Hmm.
my friend was watching it. That's how I know.
Oh wow.
You see what I mean?
Yep.
Sometimes it's just like he said that we're powerless against the social media or the technology. I think it's a great tool, but I think it comes down to good parenting, like to really, really develop a good relationship with your children. So in that relationship, you teach them how not to keep secret from you and
Mm-hmm.
help them to understand the danger when something is fishy about about something online. For instance, if you're talking to someone and that person tells you, don't tell your parents about this. That if you're talking to someone online or anyone in your dog, you're telling who's telling you, don't tell your parents about it. That's a red flag. You know,
Yep. Yep.
you should say
Thank.
sorry. I have no secrets. When it comes with my parents, I have to tell daddy. I have to tell mommy. I have to tell. It's just like the. I think the protection began the best protection. All the other tools work and they're great, but I think the best protection for us as parents is to learn how to develop a great relationship with our children, where they can feel safe, um, that they can share anything with us.
Thank you, Dr. Whitney. Dr. Jules.
Yes, piggybacking on what Dr. Wincy was just saying, it's true we have to do partner with our kids, but we also have to be safe because our kids go to these American school systems, and I'm a product of schools, so I know about that. So there's a couple of things that we have to do with social media, not just for our kids but our elderly parents. Um, some things parents can do with if giving their kids a phone or iPad is setting restrictions on the phones. You know, locking the phone at a certain time so that your students, your kids are not online 11 o'clock at night or not shopping on any type of website. I had that with my children and they kind of got upset with me. But we have to be careful that the technology does not become the parent or has more power or influence over us as parents. And sometimes kids, I've watched TikTok videos of how kids would just throw a tantrum because the parents take the phones away. So that's very good. So some things we could do online is again, put locks on the phones and tablets. So there's a time to come in, there's a time to come off. Um, Also, a lot of people when they log on into some social media sites or they're downloading something new, they ask them for location services, and that they use very tricky verbiage. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but they say, "Do you agree or not agree to share location services?" Parents have to be very careful about that because that can give people access to your kids' phones or even the elderly. Especially on WhatsApp app. Um, with social media, Facebook, Instagram, we should teach individuals not to share their personal information, their cell phones. Sometimes I get phone calls. I don't know how they got my number. Your email address. Back when Facebook came in 2005, 2006, we were sharing our email addresses. But now in 2026 is not the best idea. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, even your address, a workplace. There's certain things you don't put on social media because people are able to track you in those domains. Okay. Um, there's a lot of trivia games that are being posted on Facebook. And back in the day, I used to love to go on these games and stuff like that. but now I'm very careful when I log on because I find that when you log on to them, they track you, you know.
Yep.
So we need to teach people about tracking, how to reject what there's different questions actually about tracking. There's the functional tracking, there's the one for marketing. I always decline the marketing, because that can cause people. One time I was looking at Amazon, next thing I know, it's on my Facebook account, Amazon this, Amazon that. So we need to teach them that, when it comes to the elderly, because as a pastor, I've had a lot of elderly parents get tricked into this. I know one member of my church lost $10,000 because the elderly sometimes, and these people know that elderly are sometimes sensitive. They either need attention or they need money, and someone sent them a link on WhatsApp app. They didn't even know who the person was. They clicked on it and they used their emotions to say, "Hey, if you do this, I'm gonna send you $10,000." And the person fell for it. They say, "Well, you have to wire me $1,000, and I'll send you the 10,000." And the person's not
Mm-hmm.
even thinking because emotionally they need the money. So
Right.
we need to educate the elderly on the tricks
Mm-hmm.
that are taking place, especially WhatsApp app. You click one link and then it takes you to another link, and then your whole phone is exposed or your
Mm-hmm.
computer gets exposed,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're using, and I know some of you guys know very well, there's a difference between using a MacBook versus a Windows computer. Some Windows computers, you have to buy a separate antivirus application to protect the computer. And a lot of people are downloading what was it, viruses without buying these applications,
Right.
and that's creating some problems. So we just need to be proactive and educate people on the good and bad of social media. Parents need to know how to put lock services on their phones, so when they're sleeping 12 o'clock at night, their kids are not online. And
Yep.
one thing I do with my kids, they know me very well. 9:30, 9:30, put your phone in my room. You know,
Mm.
I think some parents need to take back control of that. Say, hey, you should be asleep by 8:30, sort of phones. One last thing, we talked about critical thinking. I'm a former school teacher. And back in the day, we were teaching kids rudimentary writing skills. In fourth grade, they had to write a 5-paragraph essay. Some of the problems taking place in social media right now is because of the school system. I'm sure many of us remember back in the day, we all had to learn cursive writing. Now I got a fourth grader who can't write in cursive. I got a high school graduate who can't write in cursive. So the school systems have something to do with the problems we have. As an adjunct professor, I know one of the professors said this recently. Most of these students can go to Chat GPT and download the textbook and not even have to buy a textbook now and get all the information. And they're just coming up with ideas and stuff without using their minds. And I see this among my college students. They're not thinking. They're just giving you answers without really analyzing. And I believe that students need to learn critical thinking skills. So it
Mm-hmm.
starts with the home, it starts with the schools, to help foster this type of idea that we're trying to promote, cybersecurity.
Okay. Thank
You-
you, Dr. Jules. So
you-
we have the expert in children, internet, schools. Mr. Warren.
Good evening again, everyone. Expert, not so much. I deal with kids a lot, and a lot of the issues that arise come from their ability to find ways to get around the system. So, um, passwords are a big thing. They'll pretend like they don't know their password, and so they have to create a new password just so they can get out of doing work and things like that. But they'll try and reuse the same password. And we have policies in place where your password can't be, I want to say, any of however many last passwords that you've used. So if it's 10, the last 10 you've used, you can't do. If it's 15, that kind of thing. So they'll try to reuse the same passwords, and they'll share passwords and things like that. Um, those are things that are preventable, that we can reiterate at home, and it's easy to manage that. In terms of them trying to get around the system, some of them get school devices. They have devices at home. Um, And regardless of us setting, timers or whatever it is, we may even have some stuff on our network that will block certain things. Like I know I have TikTok blocked at home, um, but my son has a cell phone. He can still try to get around it using his cell phone. Um, the devices, even though they have timers and they come with filters that block out harmful websites, there's always a new website that pops up to allow kids to play games and do things. And especially the younger kids, they know they don't have money, so they're looking for free ways to get these things. And just like the elderly, they'll fall for a trap and be like, hey, if you download this, you can get free 150,000 Robux. And they're going to be like, of course I'm going to download that. I can get it for free, and then I can play all the games I want. And when they download that, now you have ransomware on your computer. Now you have adware on the computer, and you're getting all these pop-ups. Um, so as much as it's preventable, a lot of it comes from them not knowing and them wanting to be um, the best at whatever it is that's holding their focus and attention in that moment. Um, so that they find new ways to circumvent everything that we put for their safety and safeguards. And I think some of that is on us because we need to educate them better. And we grew up in a time where we didn't have, mainly we had the street light came on, you're inside. Um, Everyone's friends. We knew all my mom and my dad knew all my friends because we lived in that day and age where it was people in the neighborhood or people we interacted with on a regular basis. Like it was said earlier, those bad actors don't have to come into. You don't have to go anywhere to get them. They're online and they'll come to you. So it's really on us to kind of um, educate the children and help them in that
Of
regard.
course. Yep. Thank you so much. So I want to get into
I I would like to add.
some personal narratives in reference to if you've been hacked, and what are some things that you need to be aware of mentally, physically. Dr. Thompson, you're going to talk about this because it's preserving your mental space. It's making sure that you're a digital citizen that is aware of being hacked, scammed. There are so many incidents, so many instances of men, women, children, seniors, you know, I remember talking to people, and one woman said, I thought he loved me. And I'm like, who are you talking about? The guy that I met online. He said his name was Bruce Lee. And I said, Bruce Lee, that's an actor. She's like, yeah, but he called himself Bruce Lee. I said, where did I started questioning her because I've been doing cybersecurity and all of this digital awareness for like 30 years. Way before they even started thinking about it, I've always been one of those people that asks a lot of questions about people's usage of the internet. And so she said, I met him on Facebook, then he went on Instagram, then he went on WhatsApp. So he had three profiles and he found her on all three profiles. So one day she would be on Facebook, another, like within half an hour, he would go on to WhatsApp. Then another time he would go on to Instagram. So he would always find her on one of her sites. Every time you log on, they see a digital footprint, right? And so they're looking for you wherever you are in social media. And she said she sent him $5,000. And I'm like, how come meeting someone on Facebook end up with you losing money? And she said, he loved me. And I said, he what? Did you meet him ever? No. He said he was going to come to stay at her house. I said, did you tell him that you lived in a senior citizen home? She says, no. So it's a lot of mind games and emotional intelligence that plays into it, right? So, Mr. Tyrone, you raised your hand, and then we're gonna have Dr. Thompson come on and address because he's the psychologist in the group. So he's gonna address that. Go ahead.
I have several questions, but the one that you just immediately just said is it's the same approach human traffickers use to traffic kids. Same psychological profile is used here with the social engineering and such as we use for human trafficking and catching runaways. They study your mannerism. They study your habit. They look through all your social media and see what you favor towards. So a lot of us put our desires out there. We make our desire known, and and to addition to that, um, one of our number one instigator is browsers, especially Google Chrome browser. They their whole infrastructure is set to grab your information and sell it to the highest bidder. And so that's one of our number one foundational problem we have is the particular browsers that we are hosted upon. Google Chrome being the worst. The safest is Firefox, which does not share your personal information, sell your personal information. And so the other question I had for the pastor earlier is what particular programs, applications are he suggesting to his congregation to use to help catch some of those vulnerabilities, such as like I use Guardian application on my phone to immediately alert me of certain applications. And so I was curious if there's any particular ones that you have in mind that we all can use to help us not become victims of those type of scenarios that you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to the gentleman, the teacher there, are are we creating skits, real life scenario like skits to educate our kids in these different scenarios that can easily happen, that happens every day to us? So I was just curious from an educational standpoint, how are we going about to educate our kids of these vulnerabilities?
Okay. So the guys, he asked specific questions, and you're gonna be given the opportunity. But I want to hear what Dr. Thompson has to say about the mental space that you find yourself in that makes you so vulnerable.
I do have a comment, if you don't mind me jumping into this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I do think that so the social engineering, it has changed a whole lot. So with AI now, it can like to scrub your whole social media, pull your likeness, pull out your videos, and it can create an avatar that yeah, that's pretty much you. It yeah, sounds like you, it looks like you, and you know, all the memories that you have put out there, it can say those things back to the person that it's talking to. So um, this is another level now. So yeah, I got a phone call from a cousin, and it sounded just like him. So, but I could tell that it was a glitch in this a little bit, right? So the only thing that I can do was ask her the question that you know, that only me and my cousin would know. So um yeah, I will have you know, try to recommend now is to probably have like a safe code or like a safe password or something like that, or probably ask it, you know, um some type of question that only you and that person would know.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hurd. Dr. Thompson, can't hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So we're talking about more the mental aspect with networks with social engineering. What are we actually discussing here? How people's role plays into, you know, how do they get themselves into a space of giving their information out freely and willing, like we talked about Facebook or Instagram. You get a WhatsApp message, and I heard someone say earlier about people are the pastor said, people are in a bad space in their life, the elderly, and they think that getting $10,000 by giving $1,000, the emotional aspect of it plays a key role. I think when you talk about people being attacked, through malicious emails, malicious messages that they don't know if it's really that person or not. AI is so big right now that it's changing the way we think and go about things. We talked about securing ourselves. But one of the ways to secure ourselves is to really get an understanding of what's happening right now, and that's why on this podcast is extremely important to learn from the experts of what's occurring and how we can safely protect ourselves from being scammed or hacked.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Thompson. So you finished?
But yeah, I'm finished now.
Okay, thank you so very much for your valuable input. We have Mr. Kwesi, who's going to tell us a little bit about one experience, a lived experience when he got scammed. Let's find him.
I could provide one right now.
You what?
You're muted again.
Kwesi?
Yeah, okay. I guess the video is not working, but thanks for the testament and the conversation from everybody in the group. I mean, everybody's been scammed multiple times. My phone doesn't stop ringing at least twice a day. Someone wants to sell me something, and at that point in time, you either have to hang up the phone or not give information, not give your, they always want your address or your zip code or your age. And those little questions, sometimes you just, it's natural for you. Somebody asks you like, hey, what's your name or what's your zip code on something that's like a health related or bank related. If they call you and say, your bank account has been compromised, and I'm calling from so company, and we just want your zip code to make sure everything is all right. It's important when you answer the phone sometimes to not say yes, no, and give out these information. And in terms of the phone is the gateway to a lot of this information. So the best thing I think is to get in tune with where the settings are in all of the apps. Any app you download, you need to know where the settings are. Right now, I think my camera's not working and the sound's not working because I've become so like meticulous with what I put the camera on, what I put the microphone on, that when the Zoom meeting came on, I clicked out the camera and the audio. So here we are with no video. But it's important to know the the settings in Google with your credit card settings, things like what's it? Uber Eats, Uber Drive. I always take off the credit card setting and know where the settings are for like in Facebook, Instagram, etc., so that you're safe. Mm-hmm. One thing that happened to me, I was renting a Airbnb. That happened. Um, it's happened to me several times. I've been compromised several times, but one that really stood out was browsing on Airbnb, and it had to be within a matter of seconds that when you go from just viewing, but you're browsing the app. And when you go from just browsing to like when it says something like check the dates, availability of the dates, and right as you check the availability of the dates, they're able to somehow charge you.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that happened to me once, and the inconveniences, and from a personal standpoint, I think the banks are sometimes in on it because calling them is insurance from the bank. So if you call and say, "Hey, look, this happened, and I was compromised $1,000," the banks have insurance on it, so they can reimburse you. But that money goes to someone who is you know,
Yeah.
who is a scammer,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And that's not the only time. But the way to get around it, I think, is to just be very very meticulous in like the amount of information that you do put online and where your settings are. So
Yep.
anyway, we can be safe because like I heard one of the people say that now you have the AI, they can take your voice, they can take your likeness, they can take a picture and they make a video is very
Mm-hmm.
and someone said also that there's communication between like what we're doing now and communication between the adults and the kids that may not know the difference. And even with your parents, because with my parents, I have to communicate that like, hey, you can't, if you get an email that says you need those donation or something like that, you can't just give them your information. You have to be, careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would like
Um,
to add something.
thank you so much.
no
Okay, go
problem.
ahead, Dr. Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the technology, the apps, the social media, but even the physical setting, our phones play a big role. So like someone could be next to you and tap your phone and steal all your information. So not having those particular security protocols on the phone, can make you vulnerable. So I believe like it's just expanded so much with hacking and malicious downloading of apps that it's if you're not in the field and you're not actively studying it, you're definitely vulnerable. I mean, myself included. I mean, I've been hacked. My bank account for the last 4 months. I've had some issues with someone duplicating my Visa card and using another state that I'm not even in. I got a
Mm-hmm.
news the next day. I was somewhere else and someone was using the card and it's a brand new card. Never touched it. Then your virtual banking, those things, you have all your information there. You even your facial recognition, they're taking that and getting access to it. So like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's if you don't have the knowledge, you definitely need to gather the knowledge to secure yourself. I mean, this is something that's going to get progressively worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, having forums like this and talking to the people in the field, people that have the education understanding, is extremely important because you really have to prepare yourself. Because imagine your bank account, you're expecting to go out for the weekend, you find out your bank account is cleared. That's extremely frustrating. Then you have to go back to the bank, and the bank says, "Well, it's not our fault. Or someone took money and Zelle did. Zell's fault." And you're like, "Oh, what do I do?" So yeah, I mean, and then from speaking from a psychology perspective, because that's also my background, the mental instability that one can have when something happens like this, because they become very distraught and lost. So it's important, but I don't want to take any more time. I just want to add to that.
Thank you so much. So we have Miss Andrea, and Miss Andrea is a student at Palm Beach State College, and I wanted to find out, Andrea, have you had any of these situations that you would like to let us know about, or have you heard of anyone having situations regarding scamming, hacking, romancing?
You could say there's like a term that's been happening, but it usually has been happening to is um, students that are like coming here from other countries. So especially like Asian students like Korea, China, or some even in Europe, it's called cyber kidnapping.
Oh
So
wow.
technically what happens is that in United States, usually Canada, you host, right, a child or a teenager, whatever, because they finish at 18 years old. So they come here, you don't, you're not a parent, so you don't know exactly what they're doing in their phone. So technically, the person that's trying to scam them practically gets their trust, but then little by little, tells them, oh, okay, but give me, 500 yen or something like of that. So little by little, they get their trust, and then now it's not 500 yen, is give me 10, give me 15. Then by a certain level, they're to the point where, well, if you don't give us this, we're gonna, and they call you kind of if they're a cop or something. So in those type of cultures,
Mm.
a cop or somebody it higher up from you